Sioana ran away, wondering what was wrong with him, while the servant was left behind with a red slap mark on his face. The next day, the Count left for the Urzeka Empire, the very empire that Etienne had once been a prince of. Before departing, the Count ordered him to clean up nicely and to serve Eli well, as Eli would be the next Count. Meanwhile, Sioana couldn't help but feel jealous, seeing the servant receive more attention from her father than she ever had. After this, Eli was also preparing to leave, but before he did, he struck the servant with his elbow, telling him that he would never need the service of someone like him and to stay out of his sight. All Sioana could do was watch, too terrified to say anything. While Eli went off to gamble in the city, it was Sioana who had to handle all the paperwork. During this time, Martha warned her to stay away from the red-eyed boy, explaining that since he couldn't speak, he would only stare at people when they talked to him, which gave her a bad feeling. Sioana thought to herself that Martha would absolutely panic if she knew what had happened yesterday. Then it suddenly struck her. He had actually spoken to her. She found him out in the fields and called out, telling him to stay where he was as she came toward him, which he found strange since everyone usually ordered him to come to them. When she reached him, she demanded an apology, accusing him of tricking the whole family by pretending he couldn't speak. The servant simply stared at her in response. She moved closer, declaring that his stare couldn't scare her, but then she tripped and fell flat on her face. The moment was painfully awkward, and she felt extremely embarrassed. Noticing that she had sprained her ankle, the servant gestured for her to get on his back. She hesitated at first, but having no other choice, she climbed onto him. As he carried her on his back, Sioana couldn't help but notice that he was much stronger than he looked, and that he even smelled surprisingly nice. Later in the house, Martha heard some chatter coming from Sioana's room. When she walked in, she saw the servant boy holding Sioana's foot. She immediately started screaming, and the boy ran away in a panic. Martha warned Sioana, saying she had heard horror stories of servant boys targeting young, noble girls. Sioana tried to explain that it wasn't anything like that, though even she didn't seem entirely sure herself. The next day, while the boy was doing his chores, Sioana stood behind a tree, secretly staring at him. After a moment, she came closer and told him that she was thankful for what he did yesterday. Then she added that now it was his turn to apologize for laying a finger on her the previous day. To her, he seemed a little nervous at this, so she continued, saying she wouldn't tell anyone about it, but if word got out, he wouldn't see another day, though she knew in her heart that she would probably be punished first for seeking out a male servant in the middle of the night. The boy bowed deeply to her, apologizing and calling her "my lady," which made her feel embarrassed, as it was not the kind of reaction she had expected. Trying to keep up her attitude, she declared that she was a magnanimous mistress, and that was why she was forgiving him, while he simply thought she was a silly girl. Seeing the mocking expression on his face, she told him to forget everything, and instead that he should be punished. Meanwhile, Etienne was simply enjoying the situation. She declared that from now on he would be her personal servant, and he would have to do everything she told him to do. Then she grabbed his hand and dragged him along with her everywhere. She showed him a waterfall, different parts of the town, and a view from the top of a hill. He seemed to be smiling now, and Sioana thought to herself that his smile was actually very pretty. She knew Martha had warned her to stay away from him, saying his eyes were like those of a hellbird, but Sioana decided not to listen. After all, why should she? She was the mistress of Legbel. The next day, Sioana decided that they were going to race to the mountain. Etienne was surprised by this side of her. He couldn't tell if he was her servant or her playmate. Lying on the ground beside her after they grew tired, he noticed that her eyes were the same color as the sky. He also noticed several other things. She was not at all what one would imagine a count's daughter to be like. She was timid in front of her father and brother, but she ran wildly across the mountains with her skirt hiked up and completed chores no noble girl normally would. In short, she was completely out of control. One evening, while they were hanging out in her room, Sioana noticed a carriage arriving at the house. She immediately told Etienne to hide and locked him inside a small storage room. From there, he heard Eli's angry voice calling Sioana to come out, but Etienne felt completely powerless. Sioana sat with a few books clutched over her head, bruises already visible on her face. Eli mentioning that he had heard rumors about her spending time with the servant boy. Sioana explained that Etienne was simply performing his duties as a servant, but Eli grew furious and kicked her for talking back. He demanded to know if she had crossed the line with the boy. Sioana, shocked, asked how he could even say such a thing. Eli grabbed her face roughly and sneered that her face was the only asset she had left for the family, so she had better remain pure. Then he left, hurling more insults, calling her a useless freeloader to the family. Etienne heard everything from the small room and thought bitterly to himself that he couldn't save his own family, and now he couldn't even protect his mistress. In his eyes, he was the useless one, not her. The next day, Sioana approached him saying that she wanted to go for a walk and needed protection. He warned her not to come too close because he smelled terrible, but she brushed it off, telling him not to take Eli's words to heart. She added quietly that it didn't matter anyway. No one ever came to see her. Hearing that, Etienne agreed to do whatever she asked, but unknown to them, a servant had secretly been keeping a close eye on them.